Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping into the world of Bitcoin and then the world of crypto. We're going to be taking a look at quite a few different things today. We're going to be taking a look at CoinMarketCap, see what's been going on there. We'll be taking a look at Glassnode data, having a good deep dive into what is going on with Bitcoin, have a look at the price action of Bitcoin and what I would expect to happen next there as well. So as I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now if you have not yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I really don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Now in the description below you'll also find two other very important links. The first one is to the new Cheeky podcast, a fantastic community-led podcast talking everything crypto, and this is a great way to stay up to date with what's going on in the crypto space on your daily commute into the office. It's available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, but also here on YouTube. So why not check that one out if that sounds interesting. And the second link is going to be to our Patreon services where we offer a lot more for our Patreon members via Discord. This is everything from buying, selling, staking alerts through to trading, project reviews, AMAs, and a whole host of additional benefits. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, why not check out the Patreon link in the description down below. Okay guys, let's waste no more time though. Let's jump right down into this, right? Because we've got some pretty interesting stuff to kind of go through. So let's start off with a bit of CoinMarketCap here. So we are sat now at a $921 billion market cap with $60 billion in trading volume. Bitcoin dominance currently sits at about 42.5, with Ethereum actually taking a little bit of a hit recently in the last 24 hours, now at 15.6. If we actually just shoot on down this list, let me see if I can just go into my watch list here. I'm just going to call out anything major that's kind of moved within the last 24 hours or to the kind of 7-day kind of range. Now, Matic here is in green for the last 7 days, about 14.9%. But for the most part, everything else on this kind of first page is pretty standard. I'm just going to see if there's anything really worth noting from yesterday on our watch list here. It doesn't really, I mean, other than Mars Colony, but you know, it's down 21.9% for the last 7 days. So it's not really a big success story. Otherwise, for the most part, there's not a lot of green in this list for yesterday. Now, in terms of big movers in the negative sense, let's just see if there's anything here standing out. When we've got, you know, classic Luna moving 5% in the last 24 hours. Otherwise, not much. And NewNet down in 7 days, 20%. 𝗕𝗘𝗪's down 19.4 in the last 7 days as well. 11% for API3. Anything else in double digits here? Cardano's down 10% in the last 7 days. Otherwise, you know, it's pretty standard stuff. There isn't kind of too much kind of going on there. So that's interesting. Now, the next thing I want to kind of do is actually take a look at some Glassnode data. However, when it comes to Glassnode data, what I've found is that if I actually make this a little bit bigger, this one here, okay, and you know, what I find is it's actually quite hard to read, specifically when you need to see some overlays of information. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've actually then go ahead and made my own Glassnode data. So using the Glassnode APIs, I've basically thrown this into my own reporting system and made my own reports to try to make a little bit more sense over the Glassnode data. So hopefully this is something that you guys can make sense of as well. But I'm going to run you through this, okay? So essentially, one of what we've got going on here is a couple of different things. First of all, we've got the balance of Bitcoin on exchanges. This is pretty standard. There isn't anything too much to really say about this other than the fact that it is, of course, you know, dwindling down over time. So essentially, you know, the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is decreasing. Now, this is actually an important thing to kind of just remember. Specifically, maybe I should go back into this for a sec. So when it comes to Glassnode, if we actually come down into here and we take a look at balance of Bitcoin on exchanges, so this is the same data as what I've just used the APIs for. And if I just bring this back up to 2018, essentially this is the low points that we've actually seen, right? So we've not been this low on exchanges in terms of the number of Bitcoin since July 2018. So a pretty significant amount. Now, if I just draw this back in here a little bit, you can kind of see this is dwindling down. Now, this is really important because basically, let me just bring that back up there. So basically what it is, we have a shrinkage of supply. Now, I know a lot of people tend to think about market capitalization as a key kind of metric for you know, how much money there is in a market or in a particular project. Now, essentially, that isn't technically true. Market cap is nothing more than the circulating supply, okay, multiplied by the current price. So whatever the current price is multiplied by the circulating supply, there's your market cap. So market cap doesn't really show you value, it shows you price. It just shows you price at a macro level. Obviously, I don't know how many people are aware of it or not aware of it, but I'll say it anyway. Essentially, market cap is basically just your price. It doesn't represent any kind of liquidity. Now, liquidity in terms of crypto is how much money there actually is in the space. So how much money could you pull out of a project? They call this liquidity. Now, essentially, when you provide liquidity or take liquidity out, that affects the price, but not as much as the supply and demand kind of aspect of it. So don't get confused between market cap and liquidity. Those two things are different. Now, getting back into Glassnode here, Glassnode data showing us that there was a shrinkage of supply. Now, shrinkage of supply is very, very important because when it comes to price movements or price discovery, essentially, really, there's two key things, and it's pretty standard stuff that you're probably familiar with. It's supply and demand, right? So here we have the supply basically coming on down quite rapidly over the last few years. Okay, now once demand kicks in, we're going to see a pretty big surge in price for Bitcoin. Okay, so we don't want to get confused by saying, oh, it can't do this and it can't do that because of market cap. Market cap doesn't care about, you know, the supply and demand. It is literally just a calculation. So we know that market cap is a barrier to nothing. So when you see these arguments of saying, oh, you know, let's say XRP can't go to $10, the market cap would be, you know, stupid amounts, or, you know, the market cap cannot stop a cryptocurrency going to a certain price. The only thing that can stop a cryptocurrency moving into a good price discovery simply is the supply and the demand. So if there's a huge supply and little demand, the price goes down. And if the supply goes down and the demand goes up, the price goes up, right? So these are the things you just have to really break it down to the basics. So what we're seeing here with Bitcoin over the period of time is basically a decreasing of the supply. Now, we do not have the demand just yet, but as soon as the demand comes in, I do think that we're going to see a massive surge with the Bitcoin price. And that's kind of what this part of the chart is showing us. Over on this side is actually one of the most important. We have a 30-day average net change of Bitcoin on exchanges. So obviously we have Bitcoin leaving the exchanges, but over here we actually can see the Bitcoin as an average, how much is actually leaving. Now, we've got the total inflows and outflows, and that's actually a really important one that, you know, we don't actually tend to, how do I say it, like, from Glassnode itself, let me see if I can actually bring this back up here. So from Glassnode data themselves, they actually split this into two different graphs, which means you don't get an overlay of the inflows and the outflows. So you have to kind of flick between two areas in Glassnode to try to help you understand, you know, what's going on. So when I bring this back up here for a second, and I just bring this back up here, what we tend to find is that you know, essentially what we're talking about is that the inflows and the outflows, when you put them side by side, they are very clear that there's more Bitcoin leaving than going on, right? So when we take one into isolation, you sometimes get led down the wrong garden path. So essentially up here, we've got total Bitcoin for 2022, that's this year, how much inflows there are and how many outflows. We've had 6.57 million Bitcoin go into exchanges with 6.83 million leaving the exchanges. So more Bitcoins left the exchanges than has gone onto the exchanges. So we call this accumulation. Now over here, we can obviously see that Bitcoin's leaving the exchanges as well. We have the net difference over a 30-day average, which means each one of these bars is 30-day average Bitcoin. So you can see here that basically just Bitcoin's been leaving, even on the average side. Down at the bottom of the graph, down here, we can also see that we have the hodl waves. This is how long Bitcoin's been held in a wallet without moving, and the percentages. This is a day-on-day change. So from the 14th to the 15th, for example, we can see that if you've held it for 10 years, you're still holding and so forth. So this gives a good idea to see whether any long-term holders have been shaken out of the market or not. And for the most part, they very rarely are actually shaken out. Now, if I come on over into this one, this is the graph that I think is really, really useful. And this one is basically your inflows and your outflows. And if I hover above this, for example, you can see that yesterday our inflows were 43,000, but our outflows were only 29,000. So yesterday, as we started to see a lot more volatility, we saw more Bitcoin going onto the exchanges. So you can now see why the price is pulling back the way that it is. And obviously you can go across this and you can see where they're matched up and where they're not matched up. So for example, over here, on the 7th of July, essentially we had 57 outflow versus 45 inflows. So we had more outflows than inflows. So this is a good graph just to be able to kind of eyeball rather than having to flick between several charts in Glassnode to know exactly what's going on. This is a graph that I obviously make available into our Discord server for our Patreon members every single day, along with all the other kind of Glassnode data. Moving on though, this is a nice wallet as well. This is a nice graph that helps us understand what's going on with whales, sharks and dolphins. Basically 1,000 Bitcoin or more, 100 Bitcoin or more, or 10 Bitcoin or more. And you can see here for the most part the sharks were accumulating until yesterday where they dropped it. Dolphins also dropped off a little bit here, and obviously the whales are pushing down quite heavily here. And obviously, so we can see what these guys are doing in terms of the number of wallets that hold more than 1,000, more wallets that hold more than 100, and more than 10. So it's a really good way to kind of know, are they selling off, are they accumulating, what are they doing, and all that kind of good stuff. So I really wanted to kind of share that with you outside of what we normally would see here inside of our Glassnode data. I mean, Glassnode is great and everything, but I like to actually be able to present that information differently. It's the same data, just presented differently. So hopefully that was good, and you guys can make sense of all of that. So now let's actually take this down another notch though. Let's go into the price action now for BTC, right? So here we obviously have the price action of Bitcoin. Yesterday we were saying that we were going to be looking for 21,197. We were $3 out. We actually went to 21,200 exactly to the penny there, and then we get rejected. Okay, so this is kind of what we're talking about in terms of our three-wave structured move upwards. We are now, of course, talking about requiring a five-wave structure down. So if I zoom out a tad here, just bring this in, you can kind of see that this is kind of our expectations, not necessarily all the way down there, but we had a five-wave drop. We had a three-wave move up. We are now looking for a five-wave drop down. Our target for the actual lows come in around here at 15,898. That's what we spoke about yesterday. And essentially, if I bring this up and just bring this down so slightly lower. Let's see if I can get all of this into there we go. So we have a five-wave drop here. We have a three-wave move up. We're looking for another final five-wave drop. And this comes all the way from up here, which is March 2022. So again, coming back down, five-wave drop, three-wave up, five-wave drop, three-wave up, looking for five-wave drop. We've had five, we've had three, we're looking for another five, then we'll have three, then we'll have another five. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for. I know a lot of people are saying that the bottom is in. I do not believe that is the case. Again, there's very little reason to think that, but there you go. I mean, there's a lot of people, I guess, who believe in pattern trading and stuff like that. This isn't one for me. I obviously follow the psychology of the people who are interacting in the space. So a lot of people will be saying, look, we're setting higher lows and higher highs. Now, sure, you could look at it like this and you could say, okay, yeah, great, we're setting higher highs and all that kind of good stuff. That's actually more of a parallel channel, by the way, guys, than just that. But we should also note that it's all about where you choose to take your data from, right? Because we're setting some higher lows if you take it from this data set. So we should be taking these things with a pinch of salt, just in the same way that people were talking about Adam and Eve pattern. An Adam and Eve pattern is a double bottom pattern. This is not what we've seen here. So for example, I'm just going to draw this out, right? We have a V as our Adam, and then we had our Eve, or our Eve should be a cup like this, right? And that's kind of what you have. Then you move on up, you kind of back test on this area and you move upwards. Now, obviously, that's a double bottom, as in you hit down here at the same price level, double bottom. And what have we seen? Well, we've seen a V. We saw then this, right? Right. So we're on a double bottom. It's not an Adam and Eve, right? So I think a lot of people are hoping that the bottom's in more than actually having the bottom in, if that makes sense. Now, when we follow Elliott wave theory, we know the structures that appear and what don't appear. So we've had this five-wave drop here. We've had a three-wave move upwards. The minimum expectation next is a five-wave drop. Now, the minimum, okay, so not talking about, corrective, we're not talking about impulsive structures or anything like that. Just the bare minimum would be that a probable drop into a five-wave structure where we would estimate 17,799. Okay, obviously that's not a new lower low. But my expectations here are that we're actually looking for a fifth wave down, and it's a 53535, meaning that we've still got quite a significant drop to happen here. Now, from a probability perspective, I think it's highly likely that we do see this kind of pullback in the market. Now, when we take a look at our stochastic, our momentum indicator, we can see here that our hourly chart is oversold. Our 4-hour is just coming down from overbought as we're starting to correct, and we've still got plenty of room there. The 8-hour is still overbought, and the daily's just gone into overbought. So we know that there's a likelihood of a significant pullback in the market for Bitcoin. So we definitely shouldn't be, thinking that the worst is over or anything like that. And there's pretty much limited amount of grounds to think such a thing. So we should be very, very cautious and, proceed as such, right? So my expectations are that we look for ourselves to find some kind of 5-wave structure in here. Okay, we'll be looking for some kind of 5-wave structure in here. Okay, and there's nothing that's going to be moving in straight lines. There will be bounces, such as that one. Okay, and one here and one here. And all of this move, this 53535, is a wave 3 of a macro, meaning that there should be then a wave 4 here, and then go down lower than 15,989 at a later date. So essentially, that's kind of where my mind's at, right? With the structure of everything that we've been seeing and what's been going on, that's kind of our expectations. That's kind of what we should be looking at, and that's kind of what we should be looking forward to. There's good opportunities in this, whether you want to short the market, or whether you want to wait for these swings in the market between wave 1 and wave 2, or wave 3 and wave 4. There's plenty of different ways that you can kind of act in the space. There's of course, selling your holdings up here and reaccumulating your holdings down here, right? So lots of things kind of going on. Okay, so for Bitcoin here, my expectations are that we are to pull back down. We are to kind of come into a wave 1, and we'll see how that one kind of plays out in due course. Okay, no targets just yet. We need to see this wave 1 through, and market should drop down in a 5-wave fashion. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is actually jump on over into the Ethereum chart. Okay, so obviously Bitcoin has kind of is tracking the entire market, or kind of pushing the market in its general direction, but Ethereum is kind of it has this kind of idea or notion that it is basically, driving the altcoins. So I wanted to kind of do a bit of an update on this one. Obviously, we did push up higher than 1,280 last night, and we just kind of talking about this on our AMA with the Patreon members yesterday about what this might mean. So with this rejection just here, and this 5-wave drop is incredibly odd. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to tidy this up now, because this one movement to higher than 1,280 changes our entire analysis, and it's not really for the better, it's for the worse in terms of price action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this, okay, and I'm going to remove this 5-wave move, because it cannot be 5 waves in isolation. It does look like a clear 5-wave move, so we're going to have this as our zigzag, and it's contracting a little bit. Okay, so I'll also remove this one, and I will remove this one here as well. Let me just get rid of that. Perfect. Okay, this kind of gives us a bit of a level to kind of look at. I'm going to also remove these. Okay, so perfect. That actually gives us a bit of a piece of area to play with, right? So essentially, what this has gone on here is from our high of 1,280. This is an A wave down, this is a B wave up, and this is a C wave down. Essentially, we've traded sideways, okay, in a zigzag pattern, a 535. Okay, now what's unusual about this is that B wave did not go up higher than origin, and C wave did not go down lower than A wave. Okay, although we do have a 535, it's incredibly close. We're splitting the hair between the origin and the A wave lows. But it is what it is. It's a zigzag, or it's a 3-wave structured move, and there's no other explanation for it. Now, what's really important about this is that it puts our wave 4 back into play, okay? And because we were unable to drop down lower than $881, essentially, it means that we are still in wave 4. We haven't exited wave 4 just yet. And this move up here confirms it by going up higher than 1,280, the previous wave 4 high. Okay, so basically, we're still in wave 4. Very, really boring. But what this does mean, however, is that from our low level down here at $881 up to our high of 1,280, down to our low of our A wave down here, which is now actually a B wave, it shows that we should be progressing on up. And we can take our measurement here for Ethereum down to this low point just here, move this over to our low of our A wave, and we can now see that we should be heading right back up here to our 1,000 $450 on a 1-to-1 ratio. So straight away, and there's a lot of stuff kind of going on now. Let me just tidy that one out, and I'll move our wave 4 just up into this range here. So hopefully this makes it a little bit clearer to kind of see. But essentially, what I'm talking about here for Ethereum is that the price is likely now to move upwards rather than downwards. However, we should also respect the market, okay? It means that, if I can get my words out here, it means that there's a probability that an upward directional move for Ethereum that is different to of what Bitcoin is on is likely, okay? So it means that we are likely to see a push up higher with Ethereum in a more kind of impulsive move. Then it's probably going to happen when Bitcoin just has a correction, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't expect Bitcoin to surge on up and Ethereum to surge on up at the same time. I would expect Bitcoin to find a bounce, a smallish bounce, and Ethereum to take advantage of that. That would be kind of my expectations. Now, as I come into this, and I kind of just make this a little bit bigger here, we can see that we are, of course, oversold on the hourly chart. On the 4 hourly, we're coming down from overbought to oversold, so we're heading down. The 8 hours overbought, and the daily is overbought. So we're in a very similar position than Bitcoin is. Okay, so there's a couple of things that we should probably talk about here. Let me bring this up and make this a little bit clearer. Let me just bring this in. So for Ethereum, $1,450 is the most common C wave. It is not a guarantee. Okay, the minimum requirements for this C wave has already been met. Okay, and that is going higher than the A wave. So we should be very cautious here. Okay, I'm not saying that $1,450 is a guarantee. I do think there's a possibility that Ethereum is going to surge up higher. Okay, but right now it is doing exactly what Bitcoin is doing, which means we could be looking at just starting our 5-wave drop right here. Okay. And if that is the case, we'll know this once wave 2 comes up and fails to go higher than our current high up here, which of course I will go ahead and mark with another horizontal line just there, 1,287. So straight away we kind of have an idea here what's going on. The expectation should be that we move on up. However, it's also highly possible that we pull down quite significantly before we push up. Okay, so I'm not overly optimistic with this one, and obviously these kind of corrective patterns is highly complex, specifically with a 5-3-5 structure in a B wave movement, and then you've kind of got this 3-wave structure up here, and we've kind of got a bit of a 5-wave structure this side. So a 3-wave structure down and a 5-wave structure upwards, complete a zigzag on C, is also possible. So what I want to kind of say here and stress it a little bit is, do expect some more downside first, and then possibly we might find ourselves with a bit of a push up higher. So if I take this measurement of this entire structure here, and I start to think about, okay, well, maybe we drop down and find our support level somewhere around here. You can see here that the 1-to-1 on this would then put us at around that 1,450. But first of all, we have to move down to about 1,130, right? So just kind of bear these things in mind. Right now, there's nothing overly bullish about Ethereum's price action. Now, from a kind of macro standpoint and understanding how Elliott wave theory structures out this complex correction, I would say that there's still a likely move that we move up higher, but we should be concerned that if the wrong structure appears, then actually this really small wick right here has already completed our minimum requirement of a C wave. It would be unusual, whereas this is the most usual, but we should also articulate that there is a possibility that actually we just move down. Okay, but I think there's a higher probability that we move on up. So hopefully that makes sense. We'll also keep a close eye on this one and monitor it, and obviously keep everyone up to date with what is going on with Ethereum every single day along with Bitcoin. Now, on that note, let me get this. So I've obviously started to change up the format of these videos. Let me know in the comments down below whether you think this is a good format in terms of going through the general market, going through Glassnode data, going through the price actions. I'm really interested to know if this is more the kind of information that you guys are looking for on a day-by-day basis. I'll obviously be doing this every single day like I have been doing the Bitcoin videos. So if this is useful and informative, hit the like button, let me know in the comments down below. And guys, I'm going to leave the video there for today. Join us in Discord. We obviously do spend a lot more time down in Discord as well. So I can answer questions there if you have any. With all that said, done and out of the way, though, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I will catch you all in the next one.